Good evening and welcome to Draft for Upside. I'm Brewery Mark and I'm joined tonight by Chris Esports Emmerich. How you doing, sir?
I mean, as good as anybody can be doing after the news that we got, and this wonderful slate turned into whatever this is.
Yeah, the Thanksgiving slate is not looking too good. Were there any esports this week or any of that kind of stuff?
No, I don't think there's. I mean, there's CS:GO, but there's no League of Legends till maybe like mid December. There'll be a tournament or two, and then it'll kick off next month or the month after, rather.
January.
Yeah, mid-January to late January, when the spring split should start. So that's when we'll be back and rolling in that.
Very awesome. PGA is also on hiatus for the holidays right now. Season's winding down, getting ready for the next season. So not much happening there either. So I was looking forward to this Thursday slate of 3 games, and the late game got pushed off till Sunday because of COVID. It sounds like close contact running through Baltimore, so they're trying to figure out who is in contact with who and sort that out.
Yeah, I think it's a situation where it's kind of suspect that we get all these COVID positives on Mondays, consistently on Mondays, never on Sundays, never on Saturdays, always on Mondays. And unfortunately, in this case, they had more than just close contact. They had positives and they had multiple ones. And I think they realized if they tried to play it despite what anybody was testing, that they were really kind of risking some massive outbreaks on both of these teams that would jeopardize, future games. And I almost thought that they were going to do it thinking, well, we've got 10 days at least until the next one. They decided to, I guess, err on the side of caution, which was probably the right thing.
Yeah, it is, but it sets up a really terrible slate. I mean, I personally don't like 2-game slates to begin with. And then you have these 2 games. We have Dallas and Washington and Houston and Detroit. Houston seems to be the obvious chalk across the board, super highly owned. I know you did an article and you've been digging into this. What are your initial thoughts of this slate?
Yeah, well, as you can see in my article, part of it was written last night prior to the news. You'll see it's enthusiastic, has tons of content like, hey, we're going to break down a 3-game slate. There's a couple advantages and ways to attack this. And then you'll see the second half of it, which is written after we found out it's a 2-game slate. And, there are still certain advantages, but, the problem that we run into, unless there's tremendous overlay, and people are out there saying that they're not going to play, and I certainly pulled back about half of my exposure. But you have these contests that are built in size that are factoring in 3 teams. The pricing is factoring in 3 teams. I mean, it was super loose in terms of pricing already, but now you have 2 teams. Basically, you fit any way you want. It's like preseason baseball, which I mean, I guess is in some ways advantageous, but like you look at this Washington team and there's just not a lot of places that they can create offense and players that you're going to want to roster, even against the Dallas team that's really, really bad, even with ownership and leverage concerns. So it's just kind of, what do you do? I mean, yeah, plays are good, but you're looking at ownership of Zeke, it's 70%, DeAndre Swift 65%, and these guys would have been highly owned anyway. But these numbers are kind of absurd. But that's to be expected. So I don't know. It's where can we find these options? I personally thought that the Detroit side of the Detroit-Houston game was going to be one of my 2 major leverage spots where I was going to attack. But now you've got guys like Marvin Jones is going to be 40% owned. DeAndre Swift, like we already mentioned, 60% owned. It's not really a ton of leverage there.
Yeah, it seemed like everything has moved towards that Houston-Detroit game. And that's what's being popular right now. I'm not where do you want to start? You want to start with a breakdown of that game? You want to Do
Yeah.
Dallas, Washington first, or
No, we can go Detroit, Houston first. This is a game that's got the highest total of the two, but it was the highest total of the three. You have two really, really, really bad defenses, and that's the whole point and why I like Detroit is this high total. It's supposed to be a close game. I do like Houston minus 2.5. I think the line's moved to 3. I think it's one of the larger bets that I've placed. If you check out Ryan Hodge on Twitter and you don't have a MyBookie account, if you set up a MyBookie account, use his link and you make a bet through MyBookie up to $250, you lose, he'll refund you. So if you don't have a MyBookie account, go check that out. Find the link. It's on Twitter. It's a good deal. But beyond that, this game, it's interesting when you look at the way that Houston plays the game. I know that you're of the mind that Houston is going to run away with this game and they're going to be in the lead. And you probably are correct in thinking that. The thing is, even when they're in the lead, Houston does not tend to run the ball. They throw the ball, they run plays very quickly. And, either that means they're going to score more points or they're going to get off the field a little quicker. And that's going to give more opportunities to this Lions offense to score those points. So I do like Hockenson. I like Marvin Hall a little bit more than Marvin Jones right now. But even he's, looking at 8% ownership. But I think he's a guy that has the ceiling that, is something that you can possibly expect in a GPP winning lineup. Let's say he just goes off a little bit. That could happen. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. On the other side of things, this Houston offense kind of just fits into Detroit's defensive scheme in terms of being able to score on them. Detroit is very good at stopping short intermediate passes under 10 yards. They're one of the best in the league at that. But Brandon Cooks and Will Fuller both have tremendous ADOTs. They're, big play guys, and we've already established that they don't run the ball, so they're going to go to these two guys. They don't get Kiki Kute or Randall Cobb or Kenny Stills. They don't get these guys involved enough that you're going to want to put them out there. That they just don't have a ceiling. They don't have a median projection. You can play anybody you want. You're not going to play these guys. The tight ends, you probably play Atkins over Fells, but I think, you could play Fells, and both of those guys have high, high projections. But Deshaun Watson almost feels like a lock here. Just projects so much better than all the other quarterbacks in every aspect: floor, median, ceiling, 80% ownership. Yeah, I mean, you're definitely going to want to be putting out some lineups that don't have them because, look, despite the fact that Detroit never gets any pressure on the quarterback, he might get hit and he might go out. You never know. I mean, Juju hurt his ankle on a flag. So obviously something crazy could happen.
Yeah, it's unfortunately, I think Deshaun is the way to go, but you can change it up elsewhere, right? And that's where you find the leverage. I do think Detroit's a good leverage to play. My concerns around them are, they put up with Matthew Stafford's thumb, they put up 0 points on Carolina's defense. And that's a little concerning, and it's only been a few days since then, so I don't know if they can really improve on that. Now, that was on the road and everything, so they've always played notoriously terrible on the road. And there's been a lot of press around Detroit about, dumping Patricia and everybody because of that game. But so there might be a bounce back is what I'm saying. DeAndre Swift, definitely, if he plays, I haven't heard an official word on him yet. Definitely adds a new dimension to it. Kerryon Johnson and Adrian Peterson just were not that dynamic against Carolina, where DeAndre Swift just seems to be a super dynamic player that can cut through this Houston defense pretty good. On the other side, so I know what you're saying about Houston always throws the ball. Detroit's at the bottom of the league against the run. Do you see any chance of Duke Johnson, 100 yards, touchdown, 2 touchdowns, anything like that?
I think the likelihood of him getting a touchdown is far greater than that of him getting 100 yards. Outside of breaking like a 70 or 80 yard rush, I mean, I talked about it in my article. Like, he's one of those guys. He reminds me of Christine Michael. not in any facet of reminds me of his play, but of this guy that had all of this fantasy buzz that everybody in the industry was like, man, just give this guy a shot. He's so electric. And in short bursts, he did that with the Browns, but he's never been able to do that with Houston. And now he's put into a place where we've asked for time and time again to be this feature back, and he just has not delivered. What does make him attractive, like you said, is the matchup, but more than anything, it's going to be the ownership. When you're looking at these running backs, you're looking at four main running backs: Ezekiel Elliott, Swift, Duke Johnson, Antonio Gibson, and then you can kind of maybe play like a Tony Pollard or J.D. McKissick. But those four guys, Duke Johnson and Antonio Gibson, have very similar ownership. The reason I would assume that Duke is a little bit higher is just simply because he is getting all of the snaps. He is the feature back there. Regardless of what he does with those, that they're going to him. Antonio Gibson's only playing, and we'll get into this, he's playing half the snaps. He's not in the passing role. He's finding touchdowns, but if he hadn't been finding those touchdowns, these performances he's had are bad. But again, we're really not so much playing the players, and that's not what we should be doing in any event. But even more so, as you get into these smaller and smaller fields, it becomes more imperative for you to find leverage, for you to enact some game theory and try and, just hope for something crazy to happen. I mean, like, look, on a 10-game slate, you're hoping for something crazy like Dalvin Cook to go for like 3 touchdowns at 9% ownership and run for 250 yards. That's crazy. It's a 1 percentile thing that's going to put you in the 0.01. In this, I mean, yeah, that could happen. But even if Ezekiel Elliott does that, 80% of the field hasn't. So you need something kind of stranger to happen, like he gets a concussion in the first drive, and then he's not playing, and you have Tony Pollard, and now all of a sudden, you have Tony Pollard at 5% ownership, and you're automatically above 80% of the people that have Ezekiel Elliott. These are the type of things that you need to have happen in mega large tournaments that have huge payouts. I mean, if you want to get first,
right,
and you might not be able to, with that strategy. But these aren't strategies that you do if you have one lineup in a small tournament. If you have one lineup in a big tournament, absolutely. I mean, it's harder to pick just the winners. And so, yeah, I mean, it gets really screwy here.
I'm finding myself, I'm doing, I will have a few lineups for the 2-game slate, but I'm doing mostly showdowns. I mean, if I'm going to go crazy lineups and experiment and play these random players, I'm going to do it in a showdown format where I'm comfortable and I actually win some money. I don't do good on the 2-game slates.
Yeah, I think the showdown slates are kind of interesting too. I think this one is the one that I'm more interested in how the ownership in this one plays out than the other one. The other one's, the Washington-Houston game, I think you can play just about anything because they've mispriced Michael Gallup again. But in terms of this showdown for the Detroit game, hang on one second, let me pull this up. I would venture to guess more people are going to stack heavy on the Houston side of things. And I think this is more like of a 4-2 or a 3-3. I want guys like Hawkinson and Jones or Swift as my run backs. Probably more interested in guys like Cooks and Fuller. I mean, Adoku, or however you say his name, has been ruled out, by the way. So that, that makes this Lions team even worse.
Oh, yeah.
Adoku's out, Galladay's out, Amendola's out, Kenny Stills, Randall Cobb, they're both out. So
Cobb's out too.
Yeah, that's why people are talking about Kute.
That just makes me want to focus more on a 3-3 or a 4-2 in a showdown, because it limits the players that Deshaun's going to throw to, Watson's going to throw to.
Yeah, and I mean, you can get Kute probably pretty cheap to kind of round out a 4-2 or something like that. Let's see where he is. I mean, he's actually at 5,000, comparable to Michael Gallup, who's at 3,400 in that showdown. It's kind of weird. So I don't know. I think that's where the edge is going to be, at least in this game, is to play heavier on the Detroit side. I don't think you need to have a 4 Detroit stack. I think that's wrong, but playing 3 of them or 2 of them as opposed to 1 is probably the spot where you're going to have your best luck.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Dallas and Washington. I don't know. That's kind of the after turkey dinner fall asleep game. I do like Gallup's pricing. They messed it up again, so it's great to play there. Do you think Dalton can repeat his performance from last week?
Yeah, so I mean, Gallup has a little bit of a harder matchup on the outside, but that's kind of factored into his projection. When I have these 3 guys and I'm looking at them, let's see, I've got Gallup. Oh, I was CD Lamb. Okay, so I've got Gallup as the lowest projected player, but I think that he has a similar ceiling, not necessarily median ceiling, but an absolute ceiling. He's just not getting the quality targets, and he's not being the one that is targeted the most, but not by a lot. Cooper has 2 more targets last game than he did. CD Lamb had 1, and it feels like CD Lamb is scoring all of these touchdowns. Am I right? It just feels like he's scoring a ton, but he's only scored 4. It's not a lot. Gallup has only scored once, and then you've got Cooper, who has 2 touchdowns. I mean, it just feels like this offense has scored a lot more than this. I don't know. Where are the touchdowns going? Cedric Wilson? Yeah, I mean,
Dallas, they're just not scoring.
Yeah, but they had those couple games early where they scored. I mean, Dalton Schultz has 3 touchdowns. I mean, so yeah, I mean, they're all over the place. So. The other guy that's getting some run that you can play and is going to be a little bit more popular given the big rush that he had last week is Tony Pollard. But wasn't involved in the passing game. That was more Ezekiel Elliott, who had a workload that was, Ezekiel Elliott-like. And I think he's going to be super popular even on the Showdown slate. Again, the pricing on this Showdown slate, and I don't know if this came out at the same time they were doing the pricing for everything else, but this pricing is pretty much in line with what they did on the 2-game slate, which kind of makes sense. But I don't know. I think that the Dallas side of things is just they're grossly mispriced. In terms of the Washington side, though, obviously Terry McLaurin, if he plays and he should play, is your slam dunk best play. Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick, those are the 2 other guys that are involved in this offense that have a true real ceiling that can be something that's substantial. But then you've got guys like Logan Thomas, Steven Sims, Cam Sims, Dontrell Inman, Isaiah Wright. In terms of a showdown, I think, sprinkling a couple of those different guys and just hoping you catch the one that gets a touchdown is going to make a bigger difference. If they get 2 catches for 20 yards and a touchdown, that doesn't do anything for you in the 2-game slate where you can play just about anybody. They're probably not out producing Cooks or Fuller, even if they have a bad game. They're probably not out producing CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, or Cooper, even if they have a bad game. But if you have them in this format where they're significantly less expensive, that touchdown and those points can really kind of propel your lineup into a spot where you have a guy that's going to have next to no ownership and has a ceiling that facilitates in this game mode.
So the over-under on this is only 46. Looks like Dallas is favored by 3. So what, 20 points? 23 points? Yeah.
Yeah, 24.5, which is 21.5. So they're expecting something to be there. This Washington defense wasn't as good the last 2 weeks, and they really hadn't played teams that were very good. I mean, the Bengals passed the ball a lot, but the Bengals, Joe Burrow was picking them apart. Kind of a sore spot because I had a lot of Joe Burrow and a lot of the Bengals offense. I feel like I picked that at low ownership, and it was just a smash spot. But it sucks. Sucks more for him than me. But
yeah, that's a devastating injury he had.
The other thing is that Washington's defense has been really good at getting pressure on the quarterback. They were phenomenal last time they played against Dallas. But look, I don't know. Maybe Dallas's offensive line is coming together a little bit better. I feel like they played a little bit better last week. So I think that, especially in the 2-game slate, that people will probably veer towards that Washington defense. And I think that's kind of a mistake. I think the Dallas defense is kind of an interesting play. Just, I don't know. It's the other defense. Alex Smith is not wonderful. Terry McLaurin is not used the right way. And this offense is full of a bunch of guys that shouldn't be on a roster.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I got for those 2 games.
Yeah, there's not much I can add to that. Like I said, I'm probably going to play mostly Showdowns tomorrow and go from there. I find the Showdowns a lot more fun.
I mean, hey, they can be. Again, this is just a disgusting slate at this point. 2 games.
Yeah, it would have been fun with the 3-game with Pittsburgh and Baltimore. You just add so many other players into the mix, and especially Pittsburgh, I was looking forward to. I love the which receiver the pick kind of thing, and the pricing was still relatively nice on them.
So I think the interesting thing that they could have done was gone into, they had a Monday and early Thursday slate. So why not just pick a game off of the main slate, the early games, whether it's, the Buffalo and the Chargers game, or hell, it could be the Miami and New York Jets, and add that to the slate. Make it a 3-gamer. It doesn't have to be like an obvious smash spot game. And that's why Miami and the Jets would be an interesting spot. You don't want to add you don't want to add a Las Vegas, Atlanta, you don't want to do that, but you can add another low total point game, something it's similar to what you were going to expect from the Steelers and the Ravens. And now you have this dynamic, but of course, then you wrap money up for 3 days and people can't enter their Sunday contest. So that's why that's not happening.
Looks like Danger is ready to join.
What's up?
Just in time. You're just in time. We have just finished doing this Thursday slate.
Oh, perfect. I didn't want to talk about that anyways.
No, you did not.
Mark didn't. I just babbled for a while. Even it was like a job interview where I forget what the question was, and I have to keep talking to mask that and just keep going.
I dig it. I had to get my fares in order. I had to get a beverage ready. Oh, we're ready now. Yeah.
There you go.
I don't even know if I want to pour this out of the glass. Ugh. That's not right. Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. All right.
Yeah, man, I haven't had seltzers in a long time, and then I went out and got these Bud Light seltzer, the holiday ugly sweater ones, and they're kind of tasty, except for the cranberry, not so good.
Oh, Limeritas are terrible. It's not good. It's an abomination.
Yeah, I have nothing but high ABV beers. I went and I was like, all right, so I need to get some other stuff so I can thoroughly session drink tomorrow.
Wrong button. There we go.
And got 9% double IPAs. I got 17% bourbon barrel aged Cab Sab. I got some old ales that are bourbon barrel aged. Nothing I got was under 10%. So it's just not. It's not going to work. I mean, I was looking for some bourbon counties because they were at Costco early.
Oh yeah. I don't know if I'll find any this year or not. I haven't left the house in months, so I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? So are you just super bummed because you can't load up on 60% Justice Hill, man? I mean, is that why we're so bummed?
No, that's not where I was going to go. It was going to be Detroit and people not playing Detroit and people sleeping on some of the Detroit options. Now they're just going to be forced into them. So it kind of ruins that. And where am I going to find leverage on Washington? No, not
Lame.
really. And then I really liked part of the Pittsburgh game. I really liked the idea of playing Claypool if Juju was hurt, which he is. Maybe he didn't play. And then I love Deontay Johnson. And I love Deontay Johnson either way. And then I loved Claypool. I could play both of those guys. And I could play a bunch of lineups with just Claypool, hoping that Juju was hurt, hoping that Deontay Johnson was hurt. And then all of a sudden I got this like massively under-owned Chase Claypool at like 15% ownership, who gets all the targets. And then maybe play a little James Washington. You know, that's where I was hoping to go.
Ah, well. Another day. Are you going to play anyways, or you basically back off?
I took about half out. I mean, I literally had reserved the contest on FanDuel like an hour before, and then I was like, well, I'm just going to take out half of them. So
Nice.
I was playing 90, so I was playing 90 lineups. That was I probably took out more than half.
Yeah, I'll drop from 20 to probably 8 or 9, and then I'm going to focus on showdowns.
I went from 3, and I'm going to go up to 48. I'll play it all.
Well, look, I was going to play 20 lineups and then play a couple of the high stakes entries, like single entries, 3 maxes. I pulled out almost all of the high stakes, except for the 2 that I need to get my crowns.
Gotta get them crowns, baby.
But then I'm just going to do 20 in the 3 max, or the 20 max and the $3 20 max, maxing that out and doing 20 million makers. And I bought a Powerball ticket. So.
Oh, nice. I love it. All right. Well, we'll get into the DFS main slate in a minute, but really the inquiring minds want to know what is on the menu tomorrow, Chris.
I've got a little like boneless bird, a little ham, some green bean casserole, Velveeta shells and cheese, but I'm going to add
nice
stuff to it. Let's see.
That deserves that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mashed potatoes. You know, I had to go to the store. I forgot cranberry sauce. I like the,
For shame.
jellied.
Yeah. What about you, Mark?
I got turkey. I got the homemade stuffing. I'm making sweet potato casserole. Mashed potatoes. Pretty simple fare.
Nice. We are going to slow cook one giant chicken, and we're going to air fry another chicken. No turkey over here. But then a bunch of regular, traditional stuff after that. But we're going to chicken it. That's what we're doing. But hey, anyways. Let's get into it, guys. Sorry I was late. Had to handle a few things around the house here.
It's all right.
But that's okay. We're going to start right off with Las Vegas Raiders heading to Atlanta. 54.5. Nice big one there. 3-point favorites are the Raiders. Man, the Falcons fell on their faces last week. I think in one of the leagues I was playing in, Matt Ryan got negative 6.5 points last week. Negative 6.5 points. Pretty damn impressive. Yeah, that was a highly penalized for like interceptions and stuff league, of course. But awful. Kind of a bounce back spot, though, man, here. I like Russell Gage quite a bit in this contest. He got 12 targets last week and has shown when either one of the big targets are either out or banged up that he is more than capable of stepping right in there. So Russell Gage already on my list of players to really kind of take a peek at. And Nelson Aguilar, man, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but look back through his game log. All of a sudden, this dude's one of the most consistent 10 receivers in the league.
He's a guy that was highly touted as a supreme talent coming in the league and just could never put it together. And then he couldn't catch. And now it's kind of coming together for him. And he is the premier receiver there. And I do actually really like this game. Me and Mark were actually talking. I'm saying actually a lot, and I just noticed it. But we were talking about, what maybe DraftKings could have done is add a third game to the slate from Sunday. Obviously, it wouldn't have happened because money would be tied up. But, saying it could be a game like the Dolphins and Jets, because we wouldn't want it to be this game, because this game would obviously draw all of the ownership, especially with Julio Jones at 6,500. Don't really care about anything else. I mean, that's a really interesting spot. I know he's banged up. Don't care. It's going to be. I think his ownership's going to be super low, and that's what I want. I want low-owned guys in high total games.
Yeah, I think Atlanta as a whole is going to be a little lower owned than they should be on this slate because the last two smash spots they had, they flamed out. So, especially last week, man, they crashed and burned, and a lot of people were playing them. So, yeah, Julio at 6,500, I'm going to play him all day.
Giddy up. Giddy up. What about Mr. Jacobs on the other side? Is he one of your favorite plays this week? He seems to be kind of a hit or miss for us. We either are kind of all in on him or just completely not at the right price point for us. Where does he fall for you this week, Chris?
I don't know where anybody's going to fall for me, Danger. It's just going to really depend on ownership and a lot of different other things. But, I mean, initially he seems like a guy that has a pretty decent projection. It's, what does the model say? I mean, he's not up there. He's kind of in the second tier right now. But good projection, decent price. Let's take a look here. Projected plus and minus. He's a middle of the road guy for me. I think there are a couple guys that are a little less expensive, but if I have some extra salary and want a one-off, I don't think it's a terrible spot. But running backs in one-off spots in this game or against the Falcons haven't necessarily been smash spots for him.
That's true. It's an interesting price drop there from the top guys to him, though. So it's not a terrible spot. Him and Nick Chubb right there below the guys. But yeah, I think Julio at that price range, like I said, I like Russell Gage for a cheap option. And Nelson Aguilar, I mean, he continues to be underpriced and under-owned every single week. So I think those are great targets there. Let's move along, shall we? Mm-hmm. How about the Chargers heading to Buffalo? Buffalo's 5.5-point favorites, 52.5 over-under here. The Chargers have just been letting people score left and right. Buffalo Bills have been scoring left and right. So this is probably a pretty chalky stack here, wouldn't you say?
I mean, possibly. I think the Bills have been getting up a lot of points to quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And Justin Herbert's been scoring a lot of points. I mean,
I like both sides of this a lot.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have to like both sides. I mean, that's the only way you should be really playing the games is if you like both sides. I mean, Herbert's put up a ton of points. Josh Allen can put up a ton of points. And that's kind of what you need. And then who are you going to compare or put them with? You've got Keenan Allen. You got Stephon Diggs. You got both of these guys. Where's Keenan Allen priced at right now? Hang on, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Look,
8,000.
8,000. I called it. Like 6 weeks ago. I was like, it's gonna happen. He's gonna get himself up there. But who's not priced properly? Mike Williams is still way underpriced.
$5,000.
Yeah, I mean,
nobody likes Mike Williams, man. I mean, this guy is one of those guys that out of nowhere is going to catch 6-7 balls for 80, 90 yards and 2 touchdowns on a week, and he's continually around that $5,000 price range, if not lower.
No, Mike Williams won me money last Sunday on my Chargers stack. That's how That's how I was profitable last week. So I'm going right back to him.
Yeah, I mean, the other spot in this game that I'm kind of looking at, and this is deep GPP, but if I'm stacking this game up, maybe a little Zach Moss. I mean, I like anybody playing the Chargers when they're running backs at this point. I don't think that is a.
Yeah, I like Zach Moss a lot. I mean, he was in my waiver article as my top target. He was still available in your league for the guys under 50% owned on Yahoo. And I think this is a great spot for him. I mean, 4.8. It's a good spot, man.
Yeah, and I mean, look at what some of these, and I'm just going to go through this. I mean, James Robinson crushed them. Phillip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon had 22 points combined on 14 carries. Josh Jacobs and Devontae Booker, huge game, 25 points between the two of them. Salvin Ahmed probably earned himself a good deal of money from that game alone, 15 points. Frank Gore and LaMichael Pirine put up 23 points, both of them finding the end zone last week. This is a team that's still only 9th in fantasy points allowed to running backs on the season, 8 over the last 4. I don't think that there's as many people that are on that part of the team, and they shouldn't be. Buffalo's not a team where you target running backs. One of the worst teams in terms of running back production. So this Chargers team funnels things to the run and the tight end. So Hunter Henry's a nice play.
So do you like this Zach Moss here? Do you like him as a standalone, or are you willing to put him with Allen and just not worry about the correlation there?
No, I mean, if I'm playing Allen, I might not play Moss. I might then, Moss might be on a run back with Herbert and like Mike Williams and Keenan Allen or something like that. Or I might run like a Moss and Diggs. When we're looking at this Buffalo offense in terms of their identity, they just don't run the ball a ton. So, they pass it enough that even if he gets a touchdown or two, Stephon Diggs is going to get his. He's going to be somebody that's viable and has a massive ceiling. Plus, if this game goes, 30, 31, 27 or something like where it's projected, there's going to be enough points that go around here. Zach Moss has a nice ceiling. Not wonderful on the other side of things. Actually, Keelan Balash projects out a little bit better. And I'm not sure that that's factoring in, though, Austin Eckler yet. So I think we got to plug him in and see what's going on before we get on the Keelan Balash train.
Yeah, I think Eckler is trending to come back this week from what I saw, but I'll have to keep an eye on that, of course. Mark, anybody else here you like in this game besides the usual? I sadly was not able to pick up John Brown. Somebody dropped him in my league, my money league. I don't know why. I tried, but I didn't have the proper priority.
No, I mean, I think we covered most of the players, but I like Cole Beasley. I'm a fan of him in this game. You guys are on Zach Moss, but I don't want to forget about Singletary. I know Moss is getting more carries right now, but against this defense, as Chris pointed out with the run funnel, there's no reason why you can't play Singletary as a pivot from that.
I can, because he's screwed me every time I've tried. So I'm out. I'm out on Singletary. All right, moving along. New York Giants heading to Cincinnati Bengals. Of course, Joe Burrow is done for the year, maybe even next year, according to some reports. We've got a 6-point favorite in the Giants now, obviously reflecting that. Road favorites are the Giants. That's a weird thing to say this year. Super weird thing to say. What do you think about that, Mark?
That's just crazy and sick. This game is just gross to me. I don't know who's even quarterbacking for Cincinnati now.
Ryan Finley.
Yeah, sounds right.
Brandon Allen is who they have. I don't know.
Ryan Finley.
No, I'm showing. Who's Brandon Allen?
Wow, we're gonna dig here.
Well, Finley's who came in relief.
Yeah, but Brandon Allen is, as of 10 hours ago, there's multiple news outlets that said Brandon Allen over Ryan Finley.
Yeah. I don't know who that is.
I don't either.
Well, let's look at him. He's from Fayetteville, Arizona. He's 6'2", 209 pounds. It was a 6th-round draft pick in 2016 to the Jaguars and played quarterback at Arkansas. He is 28 years old.
Played 3 games last year for Denver. Missed that.
Interesting.
Oh, man.
I mean, the Giants were the #1 defense picked up in waivers across Yahoo.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't look. This game is really not something. Cincinnati's offense is not going to move. Their defense is terrible. I think that Daniel Jones is an interesting cash play where you're not trying to hit that high-end GPP number. But in a GPP, I mean, who are you playing him with? Who are you stacking him with? Maybe Sterling Shepard. That's a spot. You go to Slayton. I mean, these guys are super cheap. The problem that I have when putting this together is who am I bringing it back with? There's just nobody on this Bengals offense that I can feel, good with. Like, I mean, they're cheap. Tyler Boyd, 5,000. T. Higgins, 47. AJ Green, 36. It's just this game. I just don't see it being a shootout.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in it. I mean, the Giants, Ingram, I like his upside most games. I guess if Mixon was fully healthy, this would be kind of a Mixon spot, but he's not. So Yeah, I'm just kind of out on this game. Unless anybody has some feelings, we'll just move along.
Skip.
Skip. How about Tennessee Titans heading over to Indianapolis? Big time division game, trying to lock up their own divisions here. We've got a 50.5 point spread. We've got 3.5 point favorites are the Colts at home. I mean, this is going to be a fun game. I hope this is the AFC game on in my local news network because I'd like to watch this game. Mark, what do you think about this game here? Is this a defensive struggle back and forth? Does one of these teams break out over the other one? Are you a big Henry fan this week?
Well, I'm always a Henry fan. But no, I don't think it's a huge defensive game. I mean, given the over-under is 50. So I do see scoring happening here. I'm just not sure where, because Indianapolis's defense is excellent. And I'm just not sure where the scoring is going to come from on the Tennessee side. Tannehill has tended to be a little bit matchup proof this year. And it's a matter of if his receivers can actually catch the ball. They kept dropping them last week and frustrating the shit out of me.
Now, they played 2 weeks ago. Henry had 100 yards. He didn't get in the end zone. Chris Davis had the good game. They shut down A.J. Brown.
Yeah. But in A.J. Brown, though, in that game, dropped several passes that could have actually turned him into a decent fantasy day.
How dare you? He is a grown-ass man, as everybody on Twitter said after he just took everybody into the end zone.
That was an amazing play. Amazing.
It was an amazing play.
And I mean, if you went on Twitter right after, everybody was, I mean, it was in jest and some in serious, the grown-ass man cliche came out.
Yeah.
I keep waiting for that just like blow up awful Phillip Rivers game where Indianapolis just lets everybody down. I just keep waiting for it. And I think that if I keep putting money on that, it's just going to happen. So I'm going with Tennessee winning this game, taking the lead in the division, getting revenge from 2 weeks ago, and Phillip Rivers just blowing up this game. I mean, he's due. He's due. I thought it'd be last week. It wasn't.
I've actually been impressed with the coaching. I think that the coaches have reeled in Phillip Rivers, and they're actually coaching the guy up. They're having him throw it safer and shorter and quicker, where he, instead of him sitting back in the pocket and trying to chuck it 40 yards every single time.
And let's also talk about how I touted Jonathan Taylor last week and he went for 120 all-purpose yards. Let's talk about that.
That was nice.
That's right. I like that. How different at all do you think this team is if Andrew Luck is at the helm instead of Phillip Rivers? Any different? Better?
Oh, for sure, it's better.
I have to say better.
I mean, look, the reason that Phillip Rivers has been less turnover prone this year, I mean, and he's had his games, but they've been ahead. They haven't had to play catch up the same way that they did in San Diego and Los Angeles when he played for them. Yeah, he would throw the ball downfield because he had downfield threats and Tyrell Williams and Travis Benjamin, but he would throw it short quite a bit to Danny Woodhead, Keenan Allen. So the profile is more that they are staying in games and he is not down 2 touchdowns constantly in a way that he has to try and bring the team back in the third and the fourth quarter. So,
and having their main deep speedster be T.Y. Hilton, who's over the hill.
Well, and they're not okay. So they're not pressing it downfield. He's not pressing the passes that aren't there, and so it's just a better situation, and it's one where he's not taking the chances because he doesn't need to.
I can get behind that. So what's your thoughts on this game, Chris? If you were pegged to say who was going to be the top performer on both sides outside of quarterback, who you got?
I mean, I like the Tennessee side of things. I think Corey Davis is a fantastic play, especially with like a Ryan Tannehill. Michael Pittman's been doing really well. I think you could get a really cheap double stack option with Ferkser, who projects out pretty well for a min price, 2,600. But yeah, I mean, other than that, not really super crazy about anybody here. Michael Pittman being the most expensive out of him, Pascal and Hilton is, I don't know. It just doesn't really excite me at his price point.
Fair enough. Yeah, I like Corey Davis here. Pittman's been pretty good, but the pricing, you're right, kind of throws me off there. If I had to pick, it's probably back to a Hines game between the three running backs for Indianapolis. If you really want to play one of those three guys, and my gut is telling me this is a Naheem Hines. It was 2 weeks ago against them the last time. I would say they try that again, try to get that going. So moving on, we got Cleveland Browns heading to Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars have a new quarterback, Chris.
Yep, sure do.
So I was going to dump the Cleveland Browns for another defense, but I think I'm going to keep them around for one more week.
They played well last week. I mean, I don't think Myles Garrett's going to be there again this week. So, they did. Let's be honest. They played the Eagles, who have just looked terrible. I don't know how much better Jacksonville is. I don't know. I'm kind of interested in Kareem Hunt. His price has now come down to a point where he's interesting. So is James Robinson, running them, on opposing sides of the game. Chris Conley still 3,000. Obviously, was not super involved, and this is a different quarterback. So, he might not be. He might not be involved at all again. But the other aspect, or DJ Chark, super cheap. So I like all the Jacksonville passing. I mean, this is an interesting game to stack. A lot of people aren't going to be here. A lot of question marks. Jarvis Landry had a bad game, 3 games in a row. Yeah.
What do you know about Mike Glennon?
What do you want me to know about Mike Glennon?
I mean, what's his tendencies? Do you know anything about that? I know he got some time here or there with the Bucks for a while.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know anything about him, really. Yeah, I think I like Cleveland's D. I like Kareem Hunt. Jarvis Landry's price just keeps going down. I think you're right there. I don't really have any interest in the Jacksonville side. I mean, seasonal, I'm obviously playing my guys, but I don't know about DFS. What about you, Mark?
I'm completely on the Browns side. I actually think this will be a pretty low. These players will be low owned, so I'm going to go with probably a Cleveland stack of Baker and Landry, and I just don't know who to run it back with. I can run it back with Shark because he's so cheap. It's a playable game because I think the ownership will be low. People will be ignoring it. It's not exciting by any means, and I like your call in the Cleveland defense.
Yeah, they did me well last week, and I'll probably run them up again. Carolina Panthers heading to Minnesota. We've got 51 points is the total there. 4-point favorite are the Vikings. Looking at this, this is one of the ones that stood out to me that I like the road team +4. Am I just reading that wrong? I mean, it's possible Thielen doesn't play if he doesn't clear the COVID list. This is the kind of defense Mike Davis will probably perform well against. Curtis Samuel again.
I don't think Mike Davis is very good.
Yeah, no.
I think that it was more of a aberration, those 3 games where he just kind of exploded, or 4 games, I guess, that he just blew out on the scene. I think we've really seen who Mike Davis is. I mean, look, 8.6, 8.7, 8.7, 8.4. Got into the end zone against Detroit, or otherwise it would have been like 9.5. That's who he is. Not worth a play there.
Not at 6,900.
No, and what we do know is Minnesota's secondary is atrocious. And what we do know is that DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and Curtis Samuel are all fantastic plays here. I'm going to be interested to see when the ownership finally shifts over to DJ Moore. As at the beginning of the year, we thought he'd be the number 1, but was really outperformed by Robbie Anderson in terms of targets. Just playing, didn't drop a couple balls like DJ did. But last couple weeks, DJ has been the guy. Just, been crushing it.
I like it. And just a medical update at 3:00 today. Medical experts are saying that it was possibly a false positive on Adam Thielen as he's tested negative more than once since Monday.
Okay, well, that's good. I mean, I'd love running it back with him, running it back with Cook. I mean, those are the spots. I mean, this is kind of like, I mean, this game is another Panther stack. I mean, you run it. You go Bridgewater in a revenge game against Minnesota. I don't know if he's played Minnesota. I don't know if he gives a shit. But you go Bridgewater, you run it back with Cook. You got some more, and then you got some Robbie Anderson or some Samuel. You want to add the S? I feel like adding the S sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Mark, any more thoughts there?
Angel, we're going to need you to kind of bring up the energy level. I know you got a Lima Rita, and that's depressing.
Oh, dude, I know, man.
I mean, it's the day before Thanksgiving.
It's been a day, man. What did I say? I had to be late to the show. It's been a day.
You don't have any work tomorrow. You put up a Christmas tree, like God. Oh yeah,
dude, it's been such a day. While out and about doing a curbside pickup, I stopped to get gas, and I bought this at a gas station. That's the kind of day it's been. Have you ever seen me drink a Budweiser product in your life?
Lima Rita.
They were on sale for $2 a can. They're 8% alcohol. Come on. What are you doing?
Drinking it out of glass.
I am drinking out of a glass because I was curious. I was curious what it looked like. That's all. All right, man. Yes, I like Cook, Dalvin Cook, and I like pretty much mixing in a shit ton of Carolina guys. I love Carolina +4 in this game. So I like Carolina side. Moving on, Arizona Cardinals heading to New England. We got a 2-point favorite on the road. The Cardinals going against the Patriots. 49 total here. I don't really know what to think about this game. I mean, Kyler Murray, he was banged up last week. Is he feeling great this week? They won that game last week because he got banged up on that first drive. Seattle, I'm saying, won that because Kyler Murray got banged up. I mean, he obviously wasn't right. His shoulder was wrong. He wasn't hitting his throws. He looked bad throwing cross field. He looked bad throwing on the scramble. And he still managed to almost freaking win that game.
Yeah.
So I think it really all comes down to Kyler Murray for me here. If Kyler's healthy and his shoulder isn't stiff, I love it. How can you not love Kyler Murray? The Patriots aren't the Patriots of old. They're just good enough to put up a fight that Arizona is going to have to keep pushing. But I don't really see a problem with Arizona winning this game. I'm just not totally sold on all the players if Kyler's got a sore and stiff shoulder. So I got to monitor that. But I'm not terribly worried about it, but I will keep an eye on it. What do you think, Mark?
Am I the one that sits Indian style in their chair?
Yes. My body doesn't bend that way, bro.
I forgot you're a tall man.
I'm a cripple. It's fine.
Yeah, if Kyler is straight in this game, I'm really loving it with stacking him with Christian Kirk, and Drake looked pretty good last week. I'm a little less leery of the running game for Arizona, but I love Kirk on the wide receiver side. I don't know, New England. I know they had a good game, but they're so up and down, hit or miss. Myers is at 5,300. It's an okay price. I think New England will try to take D-Hop out. He's at 8,100 anyways. He's going to be hard to play.
Sexy Rexy game, man. Come on, say it. Sexy
What's
Rexy.
that?
It's a sexy Rexy game, and you know it.
It's always a sexy Rexy game, right?
He's out. What are you talking about?
What'd you say, Chris?
He's out.
No.
Yep, he's out.
He went out. He went out in the middle of the last game. He's not coming back.
He will miss the remainder of the season.
No. All right, James White. Well, that's too bad. I was just looking at my stuff, and I just love the way that Rex was going to match up for this game. That's personally heartbreaking. Ever since I found out he was on Cameo, I just had to recommend him every week and hoping he blew up so I could have him on the show. I'm just disappointed now. Yeah, it all comes down to me is the reports for Kyler Murray and if his shoulder's stiff or not. If it's, I mean, I'm not terribly worried about it, but I will keep an eye on it. What do you think, Chris?
I mean, he's pretty expensive on Cameo too. I was thinking about just buying it for you here, but
I know it's like $150 or something. Like it's
well, 134 now, so maybe it's down a little bit.
Now, if it was like $50, I'd have been all over it. Like after that 3 touchdown game, but I just because I didn't win any money on DFS because I bailed on him right before the lineups were in, I couldn't pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, I love Hopkins here. I think it's it's an on-off. He's bad, good, bad, good, bad, good. It's a good week. That's all I got.
Yeah. All right, fair. Moving on. Lost my spot. Sorry. Un momento, por favor. Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. 7-point favorite Dolphins. They're back to Ryan Fitzpatrick, or are they going back to Tua? Have they said? I know they pulled Tua out of the game, put Fitzpatrick in. But have we heard who they're going with?
Yeah, no, they said it's going to be Tua.
They did? Okay. Good. I don't care about this game, so I haven't read a thing on it.
I'm just looking at cameos right now. You got me like.
I know you're like down the cameo rabbit hole now. I like it.
Yeah, geez. Who else?
I mean, Devontae Parker is always interesting in this game against the Jets here. Salvin Ahmed again, probably pretty interesting here in this game. Maybe even a little Tua, but the problem is getting it run back. Miami's been pretty good against the pass, and Perryman has been all right. I just don't see who the Jets are going to come back at him with. I mean, we finally got the Chris Herndon touchdown. We spent the first 8 weeks of the year anticipating and not getting. I don't know, man. Like, I want to play Parker in this game. I think Parker's a good play.
I mean, I'm not interested in this game.
Yeah, and there's nothing here I'm probably going to play.
Fair enough.
Sorry.
Suck it. All right. What else we got here? Moving back to my list. All right. We got the newly found 1:15 p.m. game, the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I saw, man, the Steelers all over Twitter just furious about the handling of this and how they basically been getting screwed from bye weeks and COVID all season long for nothing of their own fault. And I'm kind of with them on this one, man. I think Baltimore should have just been forced to play with the players they had. Screw it. It didn't look like this massive outbreak problem. It looked like a few players, and I don't know. We're not on the ground, obviously. We're not hearing what the medical experts are having to say or the team doctors. But I kind of agree, man. I think they got bones having this game moved.
I mean, we talked about it a little bit before you came on, and just from a point where you had multiple positives, if you go and play this game, all of a sudden you have 2 massive outbreaks on both of these teams as a possibility, and then you really can't pivot or change anything the week after. So I think they did it out of an abundance of caution. Oh, you know what? Look, hey, Steelers, fucking life's not fair, dude. Like, shit happens.
That's true. What do you think?
Genetic lottery for the most part.
What about this game just goes, gets postponed?
Yeah, I mean, it could. Like, who cares? Like, I mean, I'm pissed off because it's off the slate, but I'm not crying about this. Like, you guys have, you worked hard. You got where you did. Great. Fantastic. But, like, look, who cares? Thanksgiving.
You already talked about the players we kind of like here. I mean, I heard you guys talk a little bit about it, Claypool and whatnot. And so you want to touch on it again, or you want to just move along?
Moving along.
Move along. How about 49ers heading to the Rams? Talk about a team.
What hat are you going to wear?
Oh, what's that?
What hat are you going to wear?
I mean, goddamn well I'm not wearing that fucking Rams hat during this game. I mean, come on now. Come on now. I will root for the Rams after this week is over, and then hope my division just takes it down, because that gives the Rams a tougher schedule next year and makes it easier for my 49ers for a bounce back. So, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. How about that? I like the Rams defense for sure, DFS wise. I mean, the 49ers just continue to be banged up. They are an explosive team at times, but I feel like the Rams defense will have the answers for the guys that they're playing. They do struggle just a tad with the tight end. But of course, it's Jordan Reed. He's one just like elbow to the head away from never playing football again at any given time. Mostert has a possibility of coming back. I thought I heard. Could he be activated this week? Mostert's interesting if he is actually back. I thought I heard that he could be back this week.
This is another game that I just don't have a lot of interest in. I don't have a way to run it back. I don't care if Mostert's available and active. Ronald Jones has been one of the better running backs in the league, and he got gobbled up. Gobble, 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 like turkeys. I didn't even mean to do that.
Yeah, I mean, one-off plays here are fine. Obviously, Cooper Kupp, Woods, those guys are good anytime in a one-off. You want to throw them up there? That's cool. But I'm with you, man. I don't even want to watch this game. I love my Niners. They performed better than I ever thought they would with all of the injuries and COVIDs and stuff they've been missing. It keeps me hoping for their future. I think they just need a legit quarterback and to be healthy, and that they are a real contender. I don't think Jimmy G is that, man. I watched him play a few times this year, and there was some hurt players around him, but I'm disappointed in him, man. I really am, and I think that they are best suited to maybe look for the future, give them the start of next year. But it wouldn't even bother me to see, Mr. Stafford come over for a single year. Wouldn't bother me.
You can have them.
I bet. Nothing else here. Mark?
No, I'm kind of the same thing. I think it's all one-offs. I kind of like a Rams stack against San Francisco. I just kind of think the 49ers are broken, and the Rams can take advantage of that.
I agree. All right, we got the last game. We got Kansas City going to Tampa Bay. Mark, what do you think of this game? Take it away.
Not the last game.
What?
It's not the last game.
Did I miss a game? What did I miss? Oh, I did. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to block Taysom Hill out of my memory. So, how about the Saints heading to Denver? 43.5 points. 6-point favorites are the Saints. Mark, you watched some of these highlights. Is Taysom Hill the real deal for you? Are you considering starting him in fantasy this week?
No.
If you say we're starting rotating quarterbacks in seasonal and Taysom Hill was your best option, would you start him in seasonal?
No. Not a Taysom Hill fan. I don't know why Peyton loves this guy. Joe, go with Jameis so we can get some DFS points on the board. Let Jameis chuck the ball around.
I mean, I kind of ate my words, right? I mean, at halftime, he had done shit. And, of course, he blew up and had 2 running touchdowns, which, of course, padded that score nicely for him. But at halftime, he was the 7th or 8th highest scoring tight end on the day. It was a really disappointing first half, and then he kind of opened it up. The Denver kind of sucks, but it is in Mile High. I don't know. Chris, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, Taysom at 6,200, pair him with some Michael Thomas. I mean, what do you want Jameis to do, Mark? I mean, who's he going to throw it to? He's going to throw it to Michael Thomas. What did Taysom do? He threw it to Michael Thomas. 12 targets, 9 receptions, 104 yards, didn't get into the end zone, but that's a combination that you can look at. On the other side of things, Drew Lock has been kind of putting stuff together. I'm not interested in him as a play, but I mean, in terms of this team and being able to be competitive in some way and tossing the ball. And I don't know. I think Jerry Jeudy poses an interesting run back. The guy that I'm not interested in this stack is Alvin Kamara. He's a little bit cheaper now, but he just projects so poorly, especially given the way that he played with Taysom and just the way that these guys are going to poach from each other. I think it was one of the first out of the last, I want to say 57 games or something. Like Alvin Kamara has caught a ball in every game of his professional career. And he got 1 target last week.
Yeah, I think it really hurts him having Taysom Hill. I mean, that's just not the way that they run with him, and he is such their 5-yard out and in running back. Taysom Hill, not Kamara, when he's in there. I mean, it just really screws people over in seasonal leagues for sure that were Kamara guys.
Well, it hurts him because it takes away from the rushing upside that's not really there, but it also took away from the passing upside. And if you take away both of the upsides, what do you have? You're upside down, man.
Yeah, it doesn't help. I mean, the defensive scheme when they have to account for Taysom instead of Breeze just puts more people on that line. So it automatically also puts more eyes on Kamara. So it's just not a good combination for Kamara.
Yeah, I mean, it's a situation where I like Taysom. I like Michael Thomas. He's still way too cheap at $7,400. It's just, I mean, what is Denver going to do on the other end of it? Like to keep this game in a place where we're going to put this together for a DFS perspective type of game stack. And maybe it's Noah Fant, maybe it's Jerry Jeudy. Those are the two guys that I would look at if you want to play the other two. I
like a little Tim Patrick too, man. Price is always good. Upside's there.
Is it?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, I guess. I mean, those stats are padded, but I saw
it, but I'm looking at him with double-digit scoring, and he's usually like $4,000.
He's 5.
He's at 5 this week.
Mm-hmm.
That's too high. Never mind. Forget I said it. Moving on. Moving on. How about Kansas City heading to Tampa Bay? Tampa Bay defense has been pretty good. They're at home. Tom Brady has been pretty good. Patrick Mahomes is the best there's ever been. The new GOAT versus the old GOAT, one might say. Mark, where are you at with this game, buddy?
Do you have the line available?
Yeah. But I lost my spot, so I was trying to smoothly walk away from that.
Yeah, Kansas City.
56 points, Kansas City 3.5 points.
Oh, what was the over under?
56.
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting. I mean, Kansas City's defense is okay. It's in the bottom half, the upper bottom half. I think Brady's going to be at home. I think he's going to be able to pick apart that secondary. He's looking good. The longer the season goes along, the better Brady seems to be playing. He's gelling with everybody. He focused in on Antonio Brown last week, but who knows who he focuses in on this week. He's got so many targets now. It's just the riches that he has there now.
And is it just me, or does the late game seem to have depressed ownership just because it's the late game? I always love the late games, but it seems to me they always are a little underowned. Is that going to change this week just because of this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, it could. I think people forget about the late games, especially on a slate like this where there's only 3 4 o'clock games this week because of Thanksgiving. And I think people forget about them. But I think this will be a heavily owned game. This will be stacked up and down each way. I plan on playing a lot of showdowns in this game.
Do you think, Chris, that they'll add a 3-game slate since the Thursday game got messed up? Because there currently is not an afternoon 3-game slate.
Yeah, they will.
I think this is going to be a lot of fun of a 3-game slate. I like it. Yeah, Antonio Brown looked good. I mean, he was the guy recommended in the Showdown article last week. It just seemed like that was kind of the way it was going to be because of the Rams defenders were going to take Evans and Godwin out of the game, and they pretty much did. But I don't know if the Chiefs have that ability, so I don't know if Brown gets the targets and looks that he got last week, because I think Godwin and Evans are going to get their targets back this week, personally. So I'm out on Antonio Brown this week.
I mean, did we watch the same game? We're talking about Tampa Bay against Los Angeles, the one where Mike Evans had 9 targets, a touchdown, 50 yards. Chris Godwin had 10 targets. They got their targets, man. They're going to get their targets. They scored a touchdown too. I love Antonio Brown. I mean, look, 3 games, 5, 8, 13. They're ramping it up. They didn't bring this dude in to not play him and not throw the ball to him. They have that synergy Tom Brady and Antonio Brown do. It's the AB and the TB. And they're finally going to hook up with a TD. So, yeah, I mean, and hopefully if you have him in the right spot in your lineup, you can get a takedown, your own TD. So Antonio Brown is a fantastic play here. This is going to be a high-scoring game. Kansas City is going to put up points. And if Kansas City puts up points, they're going to do it passing, just like LA did. They don't have the same type of offensive line that LA did or does, but Patrick Mahomes doesn't need the same type of protection that Jared Goff does. Obviously, it helps. But they're going to put up points. Brady's going to have to throw. And Brady's going to throw it to Antonio Brown. He's going to throw it to Chris Godwin. He's going to throw it to Mike Evans. Brady's going to throw the ball 45 times. Each one of these guys is going to get 10-plus targets, roundabout, give or take 1 or 2. So in that case, what's the ownership? What does it look like? I mean, are they going to be highly owned? Is Antonio Brown going to have the ownership? I mean, he's still the cheapest of the 3 wide receivers. If he's going to be the lowest owned or he's going to be sub 10%, yeah, sign me up. If he's going to be over 10, 15%, yeah, I'll look somewhere else. I
think he's under 10 points. I have no interest in Brown.
I mean, you can think that he's going to be under 10 points, and you might very well be right, but he projects around 14, a ceiling of 18 or 19, and a floor of about 9. So, yeah, I mean, it could, but if he's under 10% owned, a guy that has a synergy with the quarterback that's getting those targets in a game that's going to be one of the highest scoring, to just say that you're not going to play him because you don't like him as a person, and that's why you're not playing him.
I played him last week and recommended him last week. I just think it's a shitty spot for him.
It's not. What's shitty about it?
I just think it's a shitty spot.
They have one of the highest team totals. They're not going against a good defense. There's nothing bad about this spot.
I don't like it.
You got to take a stand, right? You just got to take a stand. You got to put your foot down.
Stand. I think he scores 6 points. 6 is where I'm at.
This is going to be a fun game to watch. Even better now.
Yeah, I love everything about this game. I'm hoping that it loses some ownership just because it's the late game. I think that's a real thing. I think people like to be on top of the leaderboard early, where I don't mind being in second to last place with all my players let to go, because I'd rather see my guys climb than watch my guys fall. So I have a lot of plays here. I like this game. And then we got Bears-Packers, man. I mean, we'll talk about that, obviously, at the Sunday morning show. But the late-night show, man, I mean, that's going to be a fun game. I love watching the Bears and Packers. I don't care. I don't even care if the Packers win like 45-0. It's just a classic matchup, and I look forward to it.
You're fading Antonio Brown, but you're looking forward to watching the fucking Bears play.
I just like watching the Packers and Bears, man. It's classic football. I mean, Packers are going to win 37-0. But
look, it was a fun rivalry when Jay Cutler was there, and you knew he was going to implode every time he played Green Bay or won. Like that was fun.
And watching all the memes with them photoshopping cigarettes in his mouth.
Look, we all know somebody from Chicago. We all know somebody that's a Bears fan. That's just a byproduct of being in Michigan and growing up there and it being so close. So it was always fun to send those memes and things. And
well, you know what? I still have that friend group, buddy. So this game is always exciting for me because it's the most fun on Facebook of any of the football matches throughout the year.
Yeah, I mean,
seeing as I'm not a Lions fan, I associate with more Bears and Packers fan than the average Michigander.
Like, does David Montgomery actually, produce something? Probably not.
I hope so. I need him to seasonally. But I got nothing else, guys. I'm gonna finish this margarita in shame.
Yeah, you're Antonio Brown shame, man. I mean, look, if he's 15%, like I get it. Don't feel ashamed. But without ownerships, and we're just talking about theoretical plays, I don't think he's going to be that
he's
highly.
4% owned. That's appropriate. Because it's probably too high.
Fucking
I
like
think
Nelson,
that Lamarita is going to your head.
like you're like fucking Nelson Aguilar. He doesn't even have fucking double-digit targets in any game this year.
Yep, he's going to double Brown's score this week.
He might. I mean, he projects pretty close. I mean, they're in similar realms.
All right. Mark, let's play golf while I finish this margarita and get the hell out of here. Love you guys. We'll see you at 11 a.m. Sunday morning. I did a terrible hosting job. I didn't shout out to fantasyfootballblueprint.com for all of our in-season DFS and seasonal stuff. We didn't get the prize picks. I'll post an article tomorrow. We'll talk about it Sunday morning. And for Brewery Mark and Mr. White T-shirt himself, I am Johnny Danger. We were Draft for Upside. We'll see you first sip, 11 a.m. Sunday morning.
See ya.